You think it's money. You think the people ahead of you just had better opportunities, better connections, better luck. But what if I told you? The real reason some people outperform you has nothing to do with what's in their bank account, and everything to do with what's happening in their mind? That realization is uncomfortable, because if it's not money holding you back, then it's something much closer, something you carry every single day, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Most people lose before they even begin, not because they lack resources, but because they lack internal control. Stoicism teaches that the only true advantage a person has is mastery over their own thoughts and actions. Yet many people wake up already defeated, scrolling, comparing, hesitating, waiting for motivation to show up like it's some external force. Meanwhile, the person outperforming you, they're not waiting. They've trained themselves to act regardless of how they feel. That's the difference. One person negotiates with their emotions, the other commands them. There's also a hidden addiction most people never talk about, the addiction to comfort. It looks harmless, resting a little longer, avoiding difficult conversations, putting off things that feel uncomfortable. But over time, comfort becomes a cage. The Stoics believed that growth comes from voluntarily facing discomfort, not running from it. The person who outperforms you isn't necessarily smarter or richer. They've just built a higher tolerance for discomfort. They can sit in the fire longer without running away. And in that fire, they grow stronger while others stay the same. Another truth that stings is this: many people are addicted to distraction. Not just social media, but mental noise, worrying about what others think, replaying past mistakes, imagining worst-case scenarios. This constant mental clutter drains energy that could be used to build something meaningful. The Stoics called this a waste of life, spending time on things outside your control. The person outperforming you has learned to protect their focus like it's their most valuable asset, because it is. While others scatter their attention everywhere, they direct theirs with precision. Then there's discipline, the one thing people avoid because it feels restrictive, but in reality, it creates freedom. Most people act when they feel like it. They rely on motivation, which comes and goes. But the one who outperforms you, they've built systems, routines, habits that operate even when motivation disappears. Stoicism teaches consistency over intensity. It's not about doing something big once. It's about doing small things daily without fail. That's how momentum is built. And momentum is what separates average from exceptional. There's also a difference in how people interpret failure. Most see failure as a stop sign, a reason to slow down, doubt themselves, or quit. But the Stoic mindset sees failure as information, feedback, a necessary part of the process. The person outperforming you doesn't avoid failure. They move through it faster. They don't take it personally. They study it, adjust, and keep going. While others are stuck asking, "Why me?" they're asking, "What's next?" Another overlooked factor is emotional control. Many people let anger, frustration, jealousy, and fear dictate their decisions. And in those moments, they lose clarity. They react instead of respond. The Stoics believed that emotions are not the enemy, but being ruled by them is. The person outperforming you feels the same emotions you do. The difference is, they don't let those emotions control their actions. They stay steady when others spiral. And that steadiness gives them an edge in moments that matter most. There's also something deeper: ownership. Most people blame circumstances, their past, other people, the system. And while some of those things are real, they become excuses when you give them power over your future. Stoicism is built on radical responsibility. It forces you to ask, what can I control right now? The person outperforming you doesn't waste time blaming. They take ownership of their actions, their mindset, and their results. And that ownership gives them control that others willingly give away. And then there's patience, something almost nobody has anymore. People want quick results, fast success, immediate rewards. But real growth doesn't work like that. It's slow, quiet, often invisible. The Stoics understood that anything meaningful takes time. The person outperforming you is willing to work in silence, without applause, without validation, for long periods of time. While others quit because they don't see instant results, they keep going, and eventually, the results show up. Finally, there's self-honesty, the rarest trait of all. Most people lie to themselves. They overestimate their effort, underestimate their distractions, and avoid facing their weaknesses. But the Stoic path demands brutal honesty, seeing yourself clearly, without excuses. The person outperforming you isn't perfect, but they're honest with themselves. They know where they fall short, and they actively work to improve it. That awareness alone puts them ahead of most people. And once you understand all of this, something shifts, because now you realize it was never just about money. It was about discipline, focus, discomfort, control, and responsibility, things that are available to you right now, but only if you're willing to face them. And here's where it becomes even more uncomfortable, because once you understand that the gap isn't money, it forces you to confront something deeper: consistency. Not the kind you talk about for a few days when motivation is high, but the kind that shows up when you're tired, irritated, and completely uninspired. Most people live in cycles. They start strong, fall off, restart, fall off again. But the one outperforming you has broken that cycle. They don't restart because they never fully stop. Even on their worst days, they still move forward, even if it's just a little. And over time, those small, consistent steps compound into results that look like overnight success to everyone else. There's also a silent battle happening that most people lose daily, the battle with their own mind. Negative thoughts, self-doubt, hesitation, they don't come once, they come repeatedly. And if you don't train your mind, those thoughts start to feel like truth. Stoicism teaches that you are not your thoughts, you are the observer of them. But most people don't create that separation. They believe every doubt, every fear, every excuse. The person outperforming you has learned to question those thoughts instead of obeying them. When their mind says, "This is too hard," they respond with action. When it says, "You're not ready," they move anyway. That ability to override internal resistance is a massive advantage. Another thing people underestimate is how much time they waste in indecision, overthinking small choices, waiting for the perfect moment, trying to guarantee success before they even start. But perfection is an illusion. The Stoics believed in decisive action, doing what needs to be done with the information you have right now. The person outperforming you doesn't spend weeks thinking about what to do. They act, learn, adjust, and keep moving. While others are stuck analyzing, they're already gaining experience. Then there's the way people handle pressure. Most avoid it. They try to stay in situations where everything feels safe and predictable. But pressure is where growth is forced. It reveals who you really are. The Stoics didn't run from pressure. They prepared for it. They practiced hardship in small ways so they wouldn't break when real challenges came. The person outperforming you has likely built themselves in pressure-filled environments. They've been tested, and because of that, when life gets difficult, they don't collapse. They adapt. There's also a dangerous habit that keeps people stuck, seeking validation, wanting approval before taking action, wanting others to agree before moving forward. But the truth is, the more you depend on external validation, the less control you have over your life. Stoicism teaches independence of judgment, doing what is right based on your own reasoning, not the opinions of others. The person outperforming you doesn't need permission. They don't wait to be understood. They move forward because they've decided to, not because others approved it. And let's talk about energy, because this is something people ignore. Not just physical energy, but mental and emotional energy. Where you place your attention determines how much energy you have left to build your life. Complaining drains it. Comparing drains it. Holding on to resentment drains it. The Stoics were very clear. Focus only on what serves your growth. The person outperforming you has likely cut off many of these drains. They've become selective about what they engage with, and because of that, they have more energy to invest in what actually matters. There's also the concept of delayed gratification, which most people struggle with, choosing long-term gain over short-term pleasure. It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things to practice consistently. The person outperforming you is constantly making decisions that their future self will benefit from, even when it feels uncomfortable in the present. They sacrifice ease today for strength tomorrow. Meanwhile, others choose comfort now and pay for it later. And perhaps one of the biggest differences is this: they've accepted reality. Not the version they wish existed, but the one that actually does. Many people waste time resisting reality, complaining about it, wishing it were different. But the Stoics taught acceptance as power. When you accept reality, you stop wasting energy fighting what is, and you start working with it. The person outperforming you doesn't complain about the rules of the game. They learn how to play it better. At this point, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. It's not about who has more. It's about who uses what they have better. And that's a hard truth to sit with, because it means the gap between you and them might not be as wide as you thought. It might just be built on small decisions, repeated daily, that most people overlook or avoid. And now you're left with a truth that's hard to ignore, because once you see it clearly, excuses don't feel as convincing anymore. The people outperforming you didn't unlock some secret bank account. They unlocked themselves. They trained their mind when it was easier not to. They chose discipline when comfort was calling. They acted when doubt was loud. And over time, those choices built a version of them that could handle more, do more, and become more. That's the real edge. Not money, not luck, but control. Control over their thoughts, their actions, and their response to life. And the uncomfortable part is, that same control is available to you right now if you're willing to claim it. So the real question isn't, why are they ahead? The real question is, what are you going to do differently starting today? Because nothing changes if you walk away from this and go back to the same habits, the same excuses, the same patterns that kept you stuck. But everything changes the moment you decide to take ownership. Start small, but start now. One disciplined action, one uncomfortable decision, one moment where you choose growth over ease. That's how it begins. If this message hit you, don't just let it pass. Take action on it. And if you want more content that challenges your mindset, builds your discipline, and helps you take control of your life the Stoic way, make sure you subscribe to PSYCHOVEST, turn on notifications, and stay consistent with me. Because this isn't about motivation, it's about transformation.